that Lewis Hamilton, as he is now, crosses the line and wins the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Wow, was that a great way to start the F1 2021 season, or what? "2021 is off to a flying start with the incredible first race at Bahrain. While it was a little slow to get started, the race proved to be a real duel of the ages between Verstappen and Hamilton, a duel that definitely kept me on the edge of my seat. Here's my review of the Bahrain GP in about 5 minutes. Let's start with the headlines. Hamilton won, followed closely by Verstappen and then by Bottas a massive 37 seconds later, though catching the point for the fastest lap to complete out the podium. While I normally find a Hamilton victory a little anticlimactic, honestly, the duel at the end of the race was so fantastic that up until the last lap I had no idea which way it was going to go. While I can't begrudge Lewis the victory at all, I think Verstappen earned the win, but a little loose driving at turn 4 in the closing laps meant he had to give up his track position to the eventual winner. While I think it's a bit unfair that Max had to give up his track position for going outside the track limits while Hamilton had been doing it all race, it's important to note it was the only time that going over the track limits had led to any real and calculable advantage in the race. Saying that, race control need to be a bit more consistent with their rulings, as it's hard to tell how much time Hamilton was saving in the earlier laps by ignoring the track limits at turn 4. Driver of the day. During the formation lap, Perez faced some technical problems which caused him to start the race from the pit lane. In fantastic Perez fashion, he still managed to fly up the order for a 5th place finish. I'd argue that this set him back in the race overall, and had he started in 11th as he was supposed to, he might have been in contention for 3rd. I think this is a great sign for what might come this year. For me, Perez really pulled it out of the bag. Despite the situation he was put in, he brought himself into a great scoring position. However, we can't forget Lando, who did an incredible job to get to P4. He may have even made it to P3 had it not been for a slightly less efficient pit stop towards the halfway point. Between Perez and Verstappen, you really need to wonder what Honda has managed to pull off with the new engine. I can really see Red Bull as a potential contender for this year. They really seem to have the advantage. In the midfield. Ferrari did pretty well, showing that they might be in the running for a high midfield finish like I predicted in my constructor predictions. The difference between Leclerc and Sainz wasn't enormous, which is only a good thing for Sainz. Let's hope they continue to develop the car as the year goes on and keep themselves in the midfield running position. They started the year with 12 points, slow but steady for the team. McLaren seemed to quietly do really well. Bringing home 18 points for the first race certainly isn't a bad start to the year. It was great to see Tsunoda get his first points in his debut race, but unfortunately his teammate wasn't so lucky with a DNF. I was really hoping that Gasly was going to start the year with a statement. A bit lower down the order, Vettel needs to calm down a bit, as he really had a bad weekend with a poor qualifying, a penalty before the race, and a penalty during the race for his collision with Ocon, which was clearly his fault. I hope Vettel isn't regretting his move, as the team at Aston Martin definitely suffered from the regulation changes more than any other team on the grid, compared to their performance last year at least. I'm sorry to say that Aston Martin have got a lot of work to do to bring themselves into a competitive position. Meanwhile, Alpine had an unexpectedly poor race. Alonso retired around the midway point and Ocon's race never really got started, but no doubt wasn't helped by the collision with Vettel. Now, we need to talk about Mazepin. I don't want to waste too much time thinking about him, but before the race started I predicted he wouldn't even make it out of lap 1, and he didn't disappoint, as he barely made it out of turn 1. Honestly, I don't think he's ready for Formula 1. It's not technical skill or reactions or fitness, he's not mature enough. He has no patience and he's honestly just dangerous. I just really hope he doesn't cause anyone serious injury this year, and starts to calm down as he gets used to the racing, assuming he manages to finish a race this year. Because of the money behind him, I don't think you're going to be leaving the grid, unless he's proven too dangerous to drive by the FIA. And the rest. Obviously, there are some drivers I haven't mentioned. The likes of Bottas, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Russell, and the others I haven't mentioned all finished in expected positions without showing anything really worth noting down. There were a good few duels in the midfield involving some of these drivers, but nothing particularly noteworthy. And my conclusion. Overall, I think the race was fantastic, with a nail-biting finish that could have gone either way at the end. There was some fantastic racing all the way through, with lots of overtaking, position changes and tension. I hope we get more like it this year. So to finish off this review, let's take a look at the standings after the race. Hamilton is in his familiar position at the top of the standings with 25 points. Verstappen scored 18 with his second place finish. Bottas got 16, Norris 12, Perez 10, Leclerc 8, Ricciardo got 6, Sainz 4, Tsunoda 2 on his debut, and Stroll scored 1. Mercedes start the year out in front with 41 points. Red Bull follow behind with 28, McLaren 18, Ferrari 12, AlphaTauri 2, Aston Martin 1, Alfa Romeo, Alpine, Williams and Haas all start with 0. What did you think of the race, and who was your driver of the day? Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. I look forward to seeing you for the next race.